Welcome to Okaloosa Eye on Crime. Stolen trailers and smash and grab car burglaries. That's some of the things we're going to talk about this month. You know, car burglaries, in fact, are a national epidemic, and they're a huge nemesis of local law enforcement. We're always talking about, please lock up your cars, take your valuables and hide your stuff. So we'll probably be touching on that again, but that's one of the issues we'll talk about and a lot more.
And also, Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. It actually started in 1997, and of course we've had a lot of success over the years, and we're going to share some of those with you. And of course, it's not just Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers' success. The public gets a lot of credit for that as well, for helping out with the program. So
make it work. And hopefully we're going to be able to get more fugitives off the streets with this month's show. So let's get started with our first case. The Walton County Sheriff's Office is searching for stolen trailers and a camper. 3 trailers and a camper, in fact, stolen from 4 different locations in the Mossy Head and Laurel Hill areas between August 27th and September 7th. The thefts occurred during nighttime to the early morning hours. 1 car hauler trailer was removed from Rio Ranchero Road. An Elite enclosed trailer was taken from County Highway 1087, and a Hallmark enclosed trailer taken from Mossy Head Main Street, as well as that camper trailer from Frost Lane in Laurel Hill. Construction equipment was stored inside both of the enclosed trailers. So if you know anything about that, of course, contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is trying to identify this male and female that used a stolen credit card at multiple locations throughout Okaloosa County back on August 15th. Of course, if you recognize them, call 863-TIPS or emeraldcoastcrimestoppers.com.
Now moving over to Defuniak Springs, the police department trying to find out who this person is that passed a fraudulent check at the Winn-Dixie recently. According to the store manager, the same man passed other fraudulent checks at stores throughout the area as well. If you've got information on that one, you know what to do.
And reference those vehicle burglaries. They had 3 vehicles at 2 different locations broken into on August 10th in Miramar Beach. And of course, Walton County investigators are hoping somebody recognizes the suspect or the vehicles pictured here. Now, the suspect, you can see here looking in the windows, was seen burglarizing several vehicles at Highway 98 West, at Holiday Road, at the U.S. Gold Gymnastics and South Shore Drive, and Highway 98 at Creative Learning Daycare. Now, all 3 vehicles did have purses left in plain sight, but it really happened pretty quickly. According to the victims, they actually weren't out of the cars very long. The suspect smashed the windows of the vehicle, took the bags, and fled the area. And if anybody has information, of course, you can contact Crime Stoppers or the Walton County Sheriff's Office.
The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is trying to identify these individuals in reference to the theft of gift cards that took place at the Walmart in Destin back on July 27th. These suspects were involved in a retail theft where several gift cards were activated and stolen from Destin Walmart, and 2 other young females were also involved. The suspect vehicles described as a silver or white 4-door, and we've had similar incidents reported at the Walmart locations across the state. So definitely trying to track down these gift card thieves.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is hoping that somebody might recognize this pair of vehicle burglars. Back on July 18th at about 4 a.m., these 2 were seen on video burglarizing a vehicle on Hagen Court over in Blue Water Bay. There were also several other vehicle burglars that were reported in the area around the same time. So take a look at that video. If you recognize either one of those guys, give us a call, 863-TIPS. Remember, it's 100% anonymous.
And here we want you to take a look at this stolen ATV. The Niceville Police Department is looking for this 2016 Polaris RZR or Razor XP1000. It was taken during a residential burglary back on August 5th, and it's worth an estimated $16,000. So if you know where that ATV might be, you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
Maggie Halsey knows the pain of losing a loved one to a drug overdose. She lost her son on Mother's Day of this year. And she says family members should reach out for help and support for themselves and the addicted person, regardless of how difficult the problem seems to overcome.
That's right. Her message is basically never give up hope. And we just had International Overdose Awareness Day, and that's a global campaign that works towards preventing overdoses and reducing the stigma associated with them and providing the support to families and loved ones of overdose victims. And we talked to Maggie. Take a look. Okaloosa County Sheriff's deputies were among the first in the state to be trained on using Narcan to save the lives of people overdosing on opioids like heroin. In August 2016, Narcan saved the life of 35-year-old Bobby Halsey, but he didn't survive the next OD on Mother's Day of this year. His mom, Maggie, says Bobby called his addiction his demons. Shortly before he died, Bobby had registered for detox at a rehab facility in Pensacola.
So I took him to Pensacola on May the 9th, And he registered for detox, and because they were full, they put him on a 2-week wait.
But Bobby didn't last that long. Maggie thought he was just sleeping in late last Mother's Day.
At 6 o'clock, I got a phone call from my mom saying that she thought that Bobby was dead. And they only live a few blocks from my office. As soon as I got there and I saw him, I knew that he was gone, that it was too late. And then my son had 3 children, you know, so he's left 3 children behind. He had, if love would have kept him here, he would still be here.
On Overdose Awareness Day, Maggie acknowledges that those addictions are extremely powerful, but she encourages those fighting the same battles to be more aggressive about trying to get help. Her advice is to reach out regardless of how hopeless it may seem, and to also realize you are not alone.
To reach out for help, to research, there is help out there, and it's just heart-wrenching to see someone self-destruct that you love and you know, in front of you, no matter what precautions you take.
Here's a look at some 2017 stats through August 22nd for the OCSO. 82 overdoses reported, 16 total deaths, 11 involving suspected opioids. Narcan was administered 29 times, and of those, 3 did not survive. Keep this in mind as well. Drug dealers are not your friend, and they'll cut their products with virtually anything to up their profit margin. The state attorney's office is prosecuting individuals who provide drugs that lead to an overdose death. And if you don't do drugs, don't start. Again, the bottom line from Maggie is no matter how tough it seems, there is help out there, so don't give up.
And now we're going to go to our first list of wanted fugitives that we're hoping somebody can let us know where they might be hiding. And of course, we want to remind folks that these folks all have active warrants as of today's taping date, which is September 15th, 2017. So first up is a new face, Jordan Scott Stewart, and he's wanted by the Crestview Police Department for attempted murder, and that's reference to a shooting that occurred at Holland's Apartments in Crestview on September 3rd.
Next up is Cody Weishauer. He's 25 years old, and he's wanted for violating probation on a charge of felony battery. Now, his last known address was Oakland Circle in Fort Walton Beach.
And 20-year-old Cedric Desmond Barron II is wanted for burglary and larceny, last known to live over in Mary Esther.
Also trying to track down Reginald Dwayne Muse. He's 25, and he's wanted for VOP on charges of grand theft, burglary, as well as aggravated stalking.
Samuel M. Hubley III, who was last known to live on Dunwoody Place in Fort Walton Beach, he's wanted for failure to appear for possession of a controlled substance, possession of narcotics equipment, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and finally, criminal mischief.
And we've got a box that we can check that Keon Kenneth Cooper, that is, has been located since our last show.
But deputies are still looking for 51-year-old Jeffrey Alexander Turner, and he's wanted for failure to appear for burglary, fraud, and criminal mischief.
And we really need you to help the Walton County Sheriff's Office track down Chad Alford. Alford's wanted for aggravated assault and causing the cruel death, pain, or suffering of an animal. Last known address was Powell Drive in Niceville.
Michael Lee Folsom, who's last known to live on Schaffner Avenue up in Crestview, he's wanted for possession of a controlled substance and possession of narcotics equipment.
Now moving to Dennis Frederick Taylor Jr., 46 years old and wanted for failure to appear on charges of fraud, providing a false statement to obtain unemployment compensation, last known to live on Brook Street in Fort Walton Beach.
And we don't have a photo for Adam J. Moishier, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that, but he's 29 years old and he's wanted for possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia, last known to live on Bonita Avenue over in Fort Walton Beach.
And next up we have William Brian Harnish. He's wanted for violating probation on a charge of possession of a controlled substance as well as possession of drug paraphernalia. Harnish, last known to live in Freeport.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office is looking for Todd Eric Logan, and he's wanted for uttering a forged banknote, last known to live out in Miramar Beach.
Take a look at Leanne Summer Lawson. She's 19 years old, and Lawson's wanted for violating probation on a charge of possession of cocaine. Her last known address was Seibert Avenue in Destin.
And last up on our first list is Lucas Lorenzo Williams, who's 31 years old, and he's wanted for an armed robbery that occurred back on October 27th of last year up into Funiac Springs.
And now we've got something we want to share with you. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office recently ramped up its recruiting efforts, and they did it with a new video that showcases not just the quality of the agency, but the quality of life along the Emerald Coast. So we want you to take a look at this.
Millions save up all year just to spend a week where we live and work. The Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is a standout agency in a standout environment. Our 400 employees live along the Emerald Coast, one of the country's top tourist destinations. Check out the spectacular white sand shores and clear emerald waters in the south end, quiet rivers, lakes, and countryside in the north.
We have the beach on one side, you have the woods on the other side. You go up a couple hours up north, you could be in the mountains. So, you can't beat it.
The quality of life is matched by the quality of our agency. We are both state and nationally accredited. Less than 5% of the 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the U.S. can say that. And best of all, our community's not shy about showing its appreciation.
Everywhere we go, people tell us, thank you for your service. We appreciate what you do.
Every time I came through here, it opened its arms. The beautiful beaches here, the community support, it was a calling to come here, honestly.
And to come here is to have access to one of Florida's best fishing fleets and top spots for boating. If you want to get away from the hustle and bustle, head north to take in some solitude. But it's more than breathtaking scenery. This is a place where you can count on your coworkers.
It's a family-oriented environment. I love the camaraderie here. It's like you can call anybody at any time and they'll give the shirts off their backs for you. And that was one of the main draws for me to come to this agency.
Another draw for many is having a school resource officer in every Okaloosa County public school. Proud to be an American? The Emerald Coast runs red, white, and blue. We're home to the F-35 fighter, the Air Force Osprey, and the world's largest U.S. flag mural. In fact, more than a third of our deputies first served their country before serving here.
That commitment to serving is a calling. It's in your blood. It can't be learned. It's who you are.
I believe that it's just natural that military people, veterans, retirees, they understand what it means to serve and to sacrifice and to put yourself in harm's way for the good of others and the community.
We have a feeling once you see all our agency and the Emerald Coast has to offer, you'll want to live here, you'll want to work here, you'll want to serve here.
I would tell them to pack their gear and move to Okaloosa County.
Whether it's your first badge or your next, take the package deal and make the move to the Emerald Coast, the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office family.
Yep, and we get paid to work here.
Now, anyone interested in joining the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office team can go to our website at sheriff-okaloosa.org and look on the menu and see the Join Us tab. Click on that. All sorts of good information, and of course the application is available there as well, so go check it out.
And remember too, we're going to look at some more fugitives and that you can call, text, or email Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers to share anonymous information. So let's get started on that next round.
Okay, first up is going to be Jonathan James Lucas, who's 46 years old, and he's wanted by the Defuniak Springs PD for armed robbery.
Timothy James Howard, wanted for larceny, resisting an officer in recovery of stolen property, and failure to appear for a fraud charge. Last known address, Bearhead Road in Defuniak Springs.
And deputies are still looking for Stephen Sherman, who's wanted for extortion or threats. Last known to live on Vinings Way out in Destin.
Next up, Pamela Shute, wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for trafficking in a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance, and last known to live in Santa Rosa Beach.
And you can contact Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers if you know where 37-year-old Edward Lamont Fountain might be hiding. He's wanted for failure to appear for carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, possession of a controlled substance and narcotics equipment, and also driving while license suspended or revoked. He was last known to live on Wilson Street in Crestview.
Local law enforcement is also trying to track down Nicholas Ronald William Weeks, wanted for VOP on a charge of possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon.
And 35-year-old Willie Maurice Floyd is being sought by law enforcement for coordinating in a retail theft over $3,000 and possession of anti-shoplifting control device.
22-year-old Seamus Mason Cotner Marshall, wanted for violating probation on charges of battery and fraud.
And the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office is looking for George Monroe Emmerich II for violation of probation for domestic violence, strangulation, and aggravated battery.
Okay, Tamara Maria Acevedo, if I said that right, wanted for failure to appear on charges of possession of controlled substance, possession of narcotics equipment, and a fraud charge.
And another new face to this month's show is going to be 49-year-old Pamela Brunson Dubose. She's wanted for possession of a weapon or ammo by a convicted felon, last known to live on Pine Avenue in Crestview.
Moving over to the Fort Walton Beach Police Department, the PD is looking for David Brent Evans for credit card theft and fraudulent use of a credit card. His last known address, however, was in Freeport.
And this next one's one that's been on the show for a while, and we'd really, really love to find out where he might be hiding, and that's 33-year-old Alexis Wilmer Mondragon. And he's wanted for sexual battery, sex offense against a child, and lewd and lascivious molestation, but he was last known to live on Spencer Drive in Fort Walton Beach.
And you know, counterfeit credit cards, a big, big problem all across the country. Next up, Brittany Linnell Sanders is wanted by Walton County for violating probation on creating, using, or possessing counterfeit credit cards with the intent to use the counterfeit information.
And the Fort Walton Beach Police Department is looking for Georgia Emily Murray for leaving the scene of a traffic crash with injuries and driving while license suspended or revoked.
So you know how to reach us if you have any information on any of those fugitives to help get them off the streets.
That's right. Now, because we love all things dog related, we want to share another quick video that was taken by one of our OCSO Canine members.
You know, because our area has swamps and rivers and bayous and bays and of course the Gulf, the OCSO canines have to be able to operate not just on land but in the water as well. So got some video to share with you of that.
Good boy! Good boy! Get it, buddy! Good boy! Come here, head! Come here, head! Hey! Hook it, buddy, hook it! Go with your dog. Hey! Let me see your head! Hey! Good boy! Good boy! Good boy! Get it, buddy! Good boy! Good boy! Hold it, buddy! Good puppy! Hey, let me see your hand, Sheriff's Office. Let me see your hand. Hey. Oh, yeah, yeah. Get out of here. You better get out of here. My dog. Gonna go with that. Boys, get him, buddy. Yeah. Good boy, hold him, good go. Good boy, hold him, buddy. Get your dog. Go. Good, that's good. That's good. That's good boy. Nice, that's good. Nice, that's good boy. Get out of here. Get out of here. You better get out of here. My dog.
Now, if you are a fan of things like the CrossFit Games, those type of competitions, then you're going to definitely want to check out the Emerald Coast Honor Games. That's coming up November 11th at Legendary Marine in Destin, and it's going to benefit OCSO Star Charities, but also these organizations, Healing Paws for Warriors, the Combat Control Association, and the Special Forces Association Chapter 7.
That's right, and it's designed to honor those on the front lines abroad and at home. You can just head to emeraldcoasthonorgames.com. There's a wealth of great information, and this is a wonderful way to honor veterans on Veterans Day and help raise money for worthwhile organizations that assist our military and our first responders.
And here's a quick video we wanted you to take a look at that will give you some of the basics on what's coming up.
Honor means so much to me that as I've had a chance to serve not only at various levels in the community, but I've recognized that everyone's got a significance upon their life. And honor to me is celebrating who a person is, not what they're not.
It's not about being the best, it's about giving your best. And you get an opportunity to say thank you and to give honor in 4 major events.
Hearing about the Emerald Coast Honor Games is just an opportunity to give back on many levels for me.
Privilege for me to be able to honor these people in their service and their sacrifice and what they've already done.
So as far as our competition goes within the Emerald Coast Honor Games, we're looking for 120 two-person teams, either 2 males or 2 females, 120 teams. There's 240 athletes.
This is a great opportunity to show your support for our special forces in our area, our Air Force Special Ops, and so many other organizations, including our Sheriff's First Responders groups.
One event is going to be right here on this track in the field. One is going to be behind us on the beach behind Lulu's. One's going to be in the parking lot area with a big rig, pull-ups, box jumps, all kinds of fun stuff. And then one event is actually going to be, super excited about it, it's going to be underneath the world's largest flag, which is where our lifting event's going to be.
You know, what this event means to me is really, it's a display of a community surrounding around the word honor.
There's so many competitions to choose from, but this competition is different. It gives you the opportunity not to just say thank you for your service, but to put those words into action.
Have a kids zone, have music, lots of food, all kinds of fun for everybody. So come out, spend some time, whether you have 5 minutes or 5 hours, come out and give some time to the Emerald Coast Honor Games.
And I'm calling out sponsors to join us for the Emerald Coast Honor Games. We need $100,000 to help our first responders and their families. The funds that we raise from this are going to go a long way to help them and all the other organizations that come together in this.
To support 4 charities, the Sheriff's Office Star Charities, Healing Paws for Warriors, Combat Control Association, and the Special Forces Association. We're all going to split the proceeds to help those who are defending our front line.
So I say come on out, join the fun, and sponsor us.
We're going to have really cool swag, really cool guests, really cool speakers, and just all kinds of fun people. So again, November 11th, come out, enjoy the day, and be a part of a group in the community standing up to say thank you to our veterans and our first responders.
And as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is the 20th anniversary of Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers. It actually was incorporated in May of 1997, and there's been a whole lot of wonderful things that have happened, and it's happened because of not only the public, but because of the volunteer board members who volunteer their time to help fight crime and help solve crime, and of course the law enforcement agencies throughout both Okaloosa and Walton County that have been such great partners with Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.
And the coordinator, I would say as well, because sharing an office with Nicole, I can tell you that people from all over the state associated with Crime Stoppers will call her up. She's kind of a go-to person for all things Crime Stoppers, not just locally, but in other places in Florida too. So credit there as well.
Well, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers for about 17 years now too, so I've gotten to see a lot of the success. But I do want to give you some information about how our statistics have been over that 20 years, and we've had more than 30,000 tips that have been received, whether that's via the call, text, the mobile, or the web. Nearly 2,000 arrests have been made as a result of those tips. Almost $300,000 have been approved in reward money by the Volunteer Board of Directors, and we've recovered more than $2 million in stolen property and narcotics over that 20 years. So I say bravo to Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers, not only my board members, to the public, and of course the law enforcement agencies that we serve.
Yeah, and to the folks out there that watch this show and that also get involved and call in, you're a part of this success as well. Couldn't do it without you. So thanks so much for everyone that supports Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers and that takes the time to either get on the phone or on their computer and make sure that law enforcement has some information to go by to try and find some of these people who've committed crimes in our area.
And we are going to have a 20th celebration luncheon coming up next month, and we've got a really neat guest speaker, at least we think is a really neat guest speaker, so keep an eye out for that. We'll be sharing lots of photos and video and things of that, so nice celebration.
And bring that to him on the next show.
Yes, we will.
Right? Okay.
And speaking of fugitives, let's go right into our last list for this month's show.
Joshua James Picard is first up, wanted by the Walton County Sheriff's Office for violating probation on charges of possession with intent to sell, manufacture, or deliver a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of paraphernalia.
And Fort Walton Beach Police are searching for Juan Ramon Marquez for trafficking in stolen property, last known to live on John Quill Avenue in Fort Walton Beach.
Still trying to figure out where Roderick James Rutterson Jr. is hanging out. He's wanted for possession of synthetic narcotics within 1,000 feet of a school, as well as some failure to appear driving with a license, suspended or revoked charge.
And the Walton County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, are both searching for Mark Robert Fitzgerald for grand theft and contracting without a license, and he was last known to live out in Santa Rosa Beach.
And staying in Walton County, Edward J. Stanley is wanted for failure to appear on multiple counts of uttering a forged instrument as well as grand theft.
30-year-old Charles Keith Wallace is wanted for possession of a controlled substance without a prescription.
And Austin Wade Galloway was last known to live on Woodwind Drive in Destin, and Galloway is wanted for failure to appear on a charge of burglary.
22-year-old Whitney Denise Dalton, who was last known to live on Middle Drive in Fort Walton Beach, is wanted for failure to appear for larceny and fraudulent use of a credit card.
And the Fort Walton Beach PD is looking for John Henry Bonner. He's wanted for grand theft and violation of the Pawnbrokers Act, as well as non-payment of child support.
And deputies are still searching for 34-year-old Daniel Wesley Arthur for felony neglect of an elderly person or disabled adult without causing great bodily harm, possession of a controlled substance by misrepresentation, fraud, forgery or deception, and theft.
Okay, long list there. We got another lengthy list. Samuel Edward Thomas is wanted for VOP on charges of providing false information to a pawnbroker, false imprisonment, and grand theft. Last known address was in Shalimar.
And 38-year-old Tiffany Michelle Bennett is wanted for a violation of probation for possession of a controlled substance.
And Clifton Ray Edwards did not show up for court for carrying a concealed weapon, so still trying to find him.
And Walton County is looking for James Anthony Williams for violation for possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
VOP as well for Chris Henry Compton. His charge is fleeing and eluding law enforcement, driving with a license that's been suspended or revoked, possession of cocaine, and possession of a controlled substance, last known to live in Crestview.
And Andrea Joy Myers is being sought by law enforcement for violation of probation for theft, and she was last known to live on Gibson Road in Fort Walton Beach.
Starting to wind down now, we have Deshaun Coward, 41 years old, wanted for driving with a license suspended or revoked, and non-payment of child support. And wrapping up this last list is Joshua Christian Anderson, wanted for violating probation on trafficking in stolen property. And that's going to wrap up our show. We want to thank you for watching and for supporting Emerald Coast Crime Stoppers.